What if the man who built his fame on raw strength and straight talk decided to infiltrate Hollywood's shadowy corners, microphone hidden beneath his suit jacket, recordings stored on encrypted drives, to reveal a system where power brokers bought their way to awards and buried rivals with tainted reviews? Picture Arnold Schwarzenegger, the action legend and former governor, risking everything, his golden reputation, his future projects, even personal safety, to expose a ring of producers who had been bribing top critics for years. This isn't a sensational rumor, it's the true account of how Arnold risked his career to gather indisputable proof of corruption in Tinseltown. It began on an otherwise routine afternoon. Arnold was reviewing scripts at his studio office in West Hollywood, preparing for a new thriller he planned to produce. A close confidant, James, a high-profile entertainment lawyer with long-standing ties to both Arnold and various studios, pulled him aside over coffee in a quiet corner of the executive lounge. James described what he'd been hearing. Influential producers were brazenly offering six-figure payoffs to major film critics in exchange for negative reviews of rival films. The goal was simple: clear the path for their own movies to dominate box office receipts and awards season. Arnold listened, frozen in mid-sip. He knew James didn't speak lightly about such matters. The specifics were chilling: references to marketing adjustments in internal emails, coded language that disguised illicit transactions. Arnold's stomach tightened. He felt a betrayal coursing through his veins. "How long has this been going on?" he asked, voice low. "Several years," James whispered. "But it ramped up drastically over the last 18 months. I've seen bank records, money flowing through shell corporations, checks to critics' accounts with descriptions like consulting fees. It's staggering." Arnold's mind raced. In decades of show business, he'd seen rivalries and promotional strategies, but nothing this insidious. Reviews shaped careers. Audiences trusted critics to guide them. If those critics could be bought, the entire system collapsed. He closed his eyes for a moment, recalling the gratitude he'd felt when his early roles earned him genuine praise. Had some of those compliments been contrived? He felt anger bubble within him, but also a fierce resolve. He owed it to the industry, and to fans, to uncover the truth. "Who's behind it?" he pressed. James named Gregory Bishop, a titan whose studio had produced countless blockbusters. Bishop's charm masked ruthless ambition, his influence stretched into every corner of the business. Alongside him were Martin Faber, whose indie credentials concealed his hunger for power, Lena Forbes, known for her uncanny ability to predict award winners, and Victor Chung, a financier with ties to international distributors. Together, they controlled nearly 40% of Hollywood's mid- to high-budget productions. Their network, James explained, included station managers, PR consultants, and money launderers. It was a well-oiled machine. Arnold thanked James and left the coffee shop with a knot in his chest. He walked the streets near the studio, his mind swirling. He realized he needed proof, hard evidence that couldn't be dismissed as hearsay. If he went public without recordings, they'd paint him as a jealous rival or a disgruntled actor. No, he needed to capture their words, their admissions, in their own voices. But how? He hated deception. He valued integrity above all. Yet if these men were already deceiving the world, he had to use any means necessary to expose them. He decided to use his status as both shield and bait. As a respected actor and producer, he could arrange meetings under the guise of discussing new projects. He would wear a custom-tailored suit that concealed a miniature recorder, so small that even a cursory pocket pat-down wouldn't reveal it. He contacted an old friend, a former FBI agent who now worked in private security, to guide him on how to plant and operate the device without detection. Together, they planned a covert operation. Arnold would attend meetings with each of the suspects, discreetly recording their conversations. He'd keep the recordings on an encrypted hard drive, with access restricted to him and his lawyer. Any leak would be traced directly to him. Over the next week, Arnold arranged lunches, studio visits, and private screenings. Each time, He blended seamlessly with the environment, still the charismatic movie star, but now carrying a secret mission. He met Bishop first at an upscale steakhouse in Beverly Hills. Bishop greeted him warmly, offering a firm handshake and a beaming smile. He praised Arnold's legacy and proposed a big-budget action film that would reunite Schwarzenegger with his old director. As they discussed budget allocations and casting choices, Bishop casually mentioned that reviews could make or break opening weekend. He leaned in conspiratorially and said, "I have my people talk to critics, make sure our film gets the right buzz." "You understand how this works, Arnold?" The word "buzz" was code. Arnold felt his pulse spike. He activated the recorder hidden in his breast pocket. Bishop went on to describe how he allocated $250,000 to a particular critic's account, through a shell company identified only as Project Alpha. He named a handful of major publications, explained how certain critics had been receptive to offers in the past, and casually noted that negative reviews for competitors were prepared months in advance. Arnold nodded, maintaining his composed demeanor, but inside he trembled with indignation. Next was Martin Faber. Arnold visited him at a private screening room rented under a fictitious pretext. Faber welcomed him, poured him a glass of single malt scotch, and sat side by side on a plush leather couch. The film they were screening was actually a decoy. Faber's assistant subtly guided Arnold to play a short clip that masked the true purpose of the meeting. As they watched the excerpt, Faber leaned forward, praising how the right critic could be swayed for a mere fraction of the usual fee. He pulled out a folder, anonymized ledgers detailing payments to critics. "You see, Arnold, the return on investment is clear. A $50,000 payment that kills a competitor's buzz could net us millions in box office. It's basic economics." Arnold's recorder captured every word. After the meeting, he pretended to compliment Faber's strategic mind and left without raising suspicion. Over the next few days, he scheduled sessions with Lena Forbes and Victor Chung. With Forbes, he met at a trendy sushi bar in West Hollywood. She arrived late, fashionably dressed, sunglasses concealing her gaze. As plates of sashimi were laid out, she explained how she met with critics at certain film festivals, on behalf of her studio, to guide their impressions. She joked about slipping discreet envelopes of cash inside jackets before awkward conversations. Arnold felt bile rise in his throat but stayed poised, encouraging her to reveal the names of critics she'd worked with. She named 3 prominent Los Angeles columnists and hinted that more deals were in the pipeline for the upcoming Cannes Film Festival. Victor Chung's meeting took place at his private penthouse overlooking Hollywood Hills. Chung was a calculating financier, his office walls lined with framed awards and photos with celebrities. As they discussed potential co-financing for Arnold's next production, Chung casually remarked, "By the way, I appreciate your discretion last year. Your ticket to our private circle is secure. But remember, any review that devalues our competition must be handled properly." He laughed and held up a champagne flute. "To success." Arnold sipped the champagne, mask intact, while the recorder logged Chung's admission. By now, Arnold's evidence comprised hours of audio, detailed transcripts, and financial records linking each producer to payments. He stored the files in a hidden safe at his home, known only to him and his lawyer. Maria Shriver, his wife, was brought into the confidence. She insisted that Arnold take precautions, hire additional security, limit his public appearances until the release, and ensure he had bodyguards monitoring all possible threats. Arnold agreed, but his spirit burned. He felt both exhilarated by the truth he'd uncovered and terrified of the fallout that lay ahead. Preparing for release involved careful planning. Arnold's lawyer connected him with a trusted investigative journalist known for rigorous fact-checking. They chose a respected national newspaper with a reputation for integrity. Arnold invited the journalist to his office, presented the recordings, and provided copies of bank statements tracing payments from shell companies to critics' accounts. The journalist spent days verifying every detail, cross-referencing dates, consulting secondary sources, and interviewing anonymous informants who confirmed the existence of several covert payment channels. Meanwhile, Arnold's legal team drafted potential defamation responses, in case the producers attempted to discredit him. Late one night, after a long day of vetting evidence, Arnold sat alone in his home office. He listened to one of the clips, Bishop's voice explaining how to launder funds through an offshore entity, ensuring no paper trail. Each syllable resonated with betrayal. These men had corrupted the system, undermining the art that he loved. He closed his eyes, steeling himself for the storm to come. The chosen publication agreed to run an explosive exposé, a front-page story detailing the bribes, naming Bishop, Faber, Forbes, and Chung, and quoting the recorded admissions. On a crisp Wednesday morning, the story went live online. Headlines flashed: Schwarzenegger unmasks Hollywood bribery scandal, top producers accused of paying critics for negative reviews, Oscargate rocking Tinseltown. Social media erupted. Tweets went viral, with clips of Arnold's interviews and snippets of audio. The industry reeled. Competitors gawked, fans expressed shock, and critics who had accepted bribes found themselves under intense scrutiny. The initial reaction from the accused producers was fury. Bishop's publicist issued a statement calling the allegations baseless smear tactics. Faber claimed the recordings had been manipulated. Forbes denied involvement, blaming rogue employees. Chung's spokesperson threatened legal action against Arnold and the journalist for defamation. But the evidence was damning. Unedited audio files and signed financial documents left little room for plausible deniability. Within hours, the screeners verifying the authenticity of the recordings publicly confirmed they were untampered. Legal wheels began turning. The Department of Justice opened a formal investigation into criminal conspiracy to restrain trade and commercial bribery. Simultaneously, the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office launched parallel proceedings under state laws prohibiting corrupt practices. Hollywood's reaction was multifaceted. Some studios distanced themselves from the implicated producers. Award ceremonies, including the Golden Globes and the Academy Awards, announced independent audits of their voting processes. Critics associations convened emergency meetings and pledged to purge members found guilty of accepting payments. Agents and talent managers began re-evaluating their clients' relationships with major studios. Interviews proliferated on entertainment news shows, each offering commentary on the potential ramifications. Was this the end of Oscar campaigning as they knew it? Would audiences lose faith in film journalism? Could this crisis trigger a wider reckoning in other creative industries? Amid the chaos, Arnold maintained a deliberate invisibility. He limited public statements to carefully scripted remarks, emphasizing his desire to restore integrity rather than pursue vengeance. In a televised interview, he said, "I love Hollywood. I love storytelling. I've built my life here. But trust is everything. When you undermine honest critique, you destroy that trust. I did this so that artists, filmmakers, and audiences can believe in the power of cinema again." His composed demeanor earned widespread respect, even from skeptics. Many in the industry saw him not as a traitor, but as a guardian of principle. The scandal's fallout stretched beyond the courtroom. Films tainted by paid reviews saw their box office revenues plummet as new audiences, feeling deceived, boycotted showings. Contracts for sequels were renegotiated on the basis of material breach of trust. Insurers refused to underwrite projects involving the accused producers. Lobbyists pressed for legislative changes to increase transparency in entertainment financing. The Writers Guild of America proposed new bylaws requiring full disclosure of any third-party payments influencing critic coverage. The Screen Actors Guild hosted panels on ethics in the digital age, acknowledging that influencers and social media had made these schemes even more vulnerable to manipulation. Months later, indictments were handed down. Bishop, Faber, Forbes, and Chung faced multiple counts: conspiracy, bribery, money laundering. Preliminary hearings revealed further details. Bishop had employed a ghost marketing firm that issued dummy press releases praising his films while simultaneously discrediting competitors. Faber had a network of tabloid journalists fed with doctored footage and planted stories. Forbes routinely met critics in luxury suites, mixing discussion of film edits with discreet money transfers. Chung's overseas banking connections facilitated the movement of millions in unreported earnings. Defense attorneys argued entrapment, manipulation, and contended that Arnold's covert recordings were illegally obtained. However, prosecutors cited California's two-party consent law, noting that the producers were actively engaged in illegal behavior at the time of recording. Judge rulings favored the prosecution, allowing the evidence to stand. The trials commenced, a spectacle meticulously broadcast live to a public ravenous for every detail. The media, sensing a feeding frenzy, amplified every gasp and revelation. Former film critics, their faces etched with shame, testified, reluctantly admitting to accepting bribes. These admissions were often couched in excuses of coercion, of being pressured by powerful figures, or simply succumbing to the allure of easy money, their greed outweighing their integrity. Ex-assistants, squirming under the intense scrutiny, sheepishly revealed the clandestine methods used to deliver envelopes filled with cash into the waiting pockets of complicit recipients. Forensic accountants, with painstaking precision, traced the labyrinthine pathways of financial transactions, uncovering hidden accounts and shell corporations designed to obscure the illicit flow of funds. The courtroom, once a symbol of justice, was transformed into a veritable stage, a theater of the absurd where Hollywood's dirty laundry, its secrets and scandals, were hung out to dry for all the world to see. Public opinion, once favorable to the producers, swung decisively and irrevocably against them, fueled by the constant barrage of damning evidence and the palpable sense of betrayal. The jurors, after deliberating for what seemed like an eternity, found Bishop guilty on multiple counts of fraud, conspiracy, and bribery, sentencing him to a significant prison term and imposing hefty fines designed to cripple his financial empire. Faber, Forbes, and Chung, also implicated in the widespread corruption, received similar prison terms, though some, in a desperate attempt to mitigate their punishment, negotiated reduced sentences in exchange for their cooperation, agreeing to testify against their former cohorts and expose the inner workings of the corrupt system. The ripple effects of the scandal continued to spread throughout the industry, like a toxic contagion, as other executives, fearing exposure and prosecution, quietly confessed their own minor infractions, hoping for leniency from prosecutors eager to clean up the mess. The impact of the scandal resonated through the industry for years to come, a constant reminder of the consequences of unchecked greed and unethical behavior. Studios, shaken by the revelations, enforced stricter ethical training programs for their employees, emphasizing the importance of integrity and accountability. Film festivals, once perceived as bastions of artistic freedom, instituted official monitors to detect and deter suspicious behavior, attempting to prevent future instances of bribery and influence peddling. As the dust began to settle, and the initial shock of the scandal subsided, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the man who had dared to expose the corruption, reflected on the sacrifices he had made in the pursuit of justice. He faced months of protracted and expensive litigation, battling lawsuits filed by those he had exposed. He endured relentless personal attacks in the tabloids, his character and motives questioned at every turn. He received credible threats that took a heavy toll on his family, forcing them to live in fear for their safety. But amidst the challenges and hardships, he also gained a profound sense of purpose, a renewed commitment to using his platform to make a positive impact on the world. He launched an ambitious initiative, the Schwarzenegger Integrity in Entertainment Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to educating future filmmakers about ethical practices, transparency in financial dealings, and the importance of upholding the highest standards of integrity in the entertainment industry. He established and funded scholarships for journalism students focused on investigative reporting, believing that a vigilant and independent press was the best and most effective defense against corruption and abuse of power. His production company, once primarily focused on commercial success, shifted its mission toward supporting films that tackled complex issues of truth and justice, prioritizing meaningful storytelling over solely box office potential. In the years that followed the scandal, audience trust in film critics, which had been severely damaged by the revelations of Bribery, gradually recovered, albeit slowly and cautiously. Many praised the brave few critics who had steadfastly refused bribes, those individuals who remained committed to providing honest and unbiased critique despite the considerable financial incentives offered to sway their opinions. Studios, recognizing the importance of regaining audience trust, began touting 100% independent reviews as a prominent part of their marketing campaigns, hoping to assure potential viewers that their films had been judged fairly and objectively. Awards shows, seeking to restore their credibility, implemented blockchain-based voting records to ensure impenetrable transparency in the selection process, making it virtually impossible to manipulate the results. Although Hollywood, with its inherent pressures and temptations, would never be entirely immune to ambition and the lure of money, the scandal served as a critical lesson, a stark reminder that when power and money collide, it takes individuals of unwavering conviction and moral courage to stand against them and fight for what is right. Arnold Schwarzenegger's legacy thus took on an unexpected and profound new dimension. Beyond his iconic roles as an action hero, he became a symbol of ethical fortitude, a beacon of integrity in a business often defined by gossip, glamour, and backroom deals. His mission was never to be a hero in the traditional sense. He had always been proud of the movies he made and the positive impact they had on the lives of his fans. Yet by risking his reputation and career to expose widespread corruption and fight for justice, he reminded the world that true strength is as much moral as it is physical, that courage and integrity are essential qualities for anyone seeking to make a difference in the world. Behind the glint of gold statues and the roar of opening night crowds lies an industry built on trust, creativity, and the shared belief in stories that inspire, entertain, and enlighten. Arnold's undercover crusade ensured that those ideals remained worth fighting for, no matter the personal cost, that the pursuit of truth and justice should always outweigh the allure of fame and fortune.